Disclaimer, this video is for women. Have you ever been stuck in a dangerous situation, whether it was a hostile environment like work or even inside your home, and you knew that it was not going to go well for you? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to get out of a dangerous situation. Now, the reason I'm talking about this topic, which is dear to my heart, because I have proven it 4 times, these strategies that have worked for me as I've been in multiple situations that could have cost my life. I have such strong conviction about these strategies, which is why I am sharing them with you in this video. So let me give you some context. If you're a woman like me who travels a lot and who is curious and naturally very trusting, you're going to find yourself in situations that you may not be prepared for. For example, if you go into an environment where there is war, perhaps a different culture from you, and you're not understanding the customs, you may find yourself in situations where you're alone and you can't call for help. For example, when I was in Lebanon working as a freelance journalist, I traveled a lot to Syria and Iraq during the wars, and I didn't speak Arabic. I didn't always know how to communicate. One thing that I did learn was to always travel with a man because it protected me. If I traveled with a woman, it put me in a lot more danger. Always know in which environment you're going into. Reading about the local culture or just observing, it's very important that you do that. Sometimes we Americans, we show up and we're very oblivious to our environment. One thing I did is I quickly learned in the Middle East that I should travel with a man. And even when I did that in Damascus, Syria, the one time I didn't go with a fellow journalist, I actually went into a store and the store owner closed the door and started rubbing himself against me, against my side, and I was locked in a store. It was very uncomfortable. I was able to unlock the door and get out, but nonetheless, it was very uncomfortable, and there's definitely a lot more of these situations that have happened to me. Another situation was in Iraq, where I was at the oil and gas conference in Erbil, and in that moment, I had the opportunity to leave with this woman and take a cab and go to the bar that her husband owned, which was a couple of blocks outside of the Hilton Hotel where we were. My instinct told me not to do it. I got in the cab and I got out. It was a woman. She was also a U.S. citizen, and then the other girl was local. And I haven't heard from them for a few days, and I found out that they were raped by multiple military officers. This video is about coming up with those strategies of how to escape these difficult situations. I've compiled a list of strategies that I've used time and time and again when I found myself in these situations multiple times. So let's go through them. Let's paint a picture of a dangerous situation. Typically what happens is that something in your gut tells you that it's not okay. And then you start sweating, you freeze, or you run. So it's called fight or flight, which means you fight back or you run away. What happens when you neither fight or run away and you end up freezing? Being in the freeze state is the worst position you could be in because your body literally shuts down and you cannot do anything. This is something that's very normal and it will happen. The first strategy, the minute that you sense danger, begin to breathe deeply because that prevents your body into going freeze mode or shock. And what I typically do is take in deep breaths, inhale and exhale, because I'm trying not to respond in that normal way, because biologically you're gonna respond like that. You cannot use reason to get out of the situation. And it buys me time. Absolutely, you want to buy time. When you buy time, you can think of how to get out of the situation, and you want to be in the position of thinking how to get out of the situation rather than typically what happens is you freeze, you cry, you shut down, and that's the worst place you can be. When you have maintained your composure and your calmness, the next thing, strategy number 2, is to think and assess the situation. Where are your exits? Where are you? Are you on the streets? Are you inside? What do you have access to? A cell phone? A weapon? If you're on the streets, identify the location. What's the street name? Look into the windows, look into the stores. It's a little bit of doing reconnaissance or intelligence work where you're just surveying your environment. You want to access your resources as quickly as possible. Where are the people people standing? Who are they? This is really important because it empowers you with resources, and you know that you have opportunities for safety. Strategy number 3, since we're talking about resources, your cell phone. And using a cell phone is super powerful. You may not have time to call for help, but you have enough time to pick up the phone and pretend you're already on the phone with someone, and you identify where you are and you identify the person. When I was in Beirut, I lost my wallet, so I couldn't get home. I was in a Palestinian camp and I needed to get a ride home. And so I saw this black Escalade car come out of nowhere, and I knew this was a bad idea because the windows were tilted and my instinct told me not to get into this car. But I was desperate. It's another thing. Don't ever be desperate. You go against your logic and your reasoning, and you end up just responding to the environment. So I got into the car. I closed the door. The man locked the door, and we're driving. And he starts feeling my leg, and I'm scared in this moment because I know that I'm on an empty road in the evening in a black Escalade car, tinted windows, with a really big man driving. So I automatically grabbed the phone and I rubbed his shoulders and I said, "Hi, John." I made up a name. "I'm with my friend here in the car." I'm rubbing his shoulder, and we're actually on our way back home. "And where are you? What are you doing?" And so I felt the man kind of get frustrated and be like, "Ugh, like this woman identified me." That phone call never happened. I just made it up. Like, I literally pretended this person was my friend and identified him as my friend and the situation. This is strategy number 4, is framing the situation, changing roles, and understanding that you know this person's about to attack you. Treat him with respect and pretend he's your friend. Go along with a different story in your mind because you know this person wants to attack you and you know you're going to get attacked. The power of visualization does work. I'm not going to say that you can change your circumstance, but it does because it puts you in a different state of mind, and it also buys you time and helps you think of how to escape the situation. Which leads me to the next point, being super caring and feminine. I typically in those situations am not feminine. I fight. I tend to get more physical, and I realized that if I'm a small woman, that's not going to work. So I need to resort to psychology, and I need to figure out a way to manipulate the situation because that's the only thing that's going to help me get out of the situation. And while I think of ways to get out of the situation, I'm managing the environment by being super kind and caring, because this leads me to the next strategy. Think of that person as hurting. Think of that person not someone who's going to kill you or attack you, but somebody who also needs love and care. Most of the time, when somebody attacks you, it's not you, it's the idea of you. You've triggered something in them that's triggering a aggressive behavior. So it's your job to provide as much love and care because that person is hurting. For me, it has worked. This is how I got out of a situation of getting raped. I also had another situation where I was followed from a bar in college. The man walked into my room of the dormitory and stood there, which leads me to the final strategy, is praying. And we don't always know if it's effective. We're hoping that the outcome is different, but I was lying under the blanket and the man just stood over me. I was just praying and just say, "Please allow me to be okay." The last story I want to share is to sum this all up. I was in a bar visiting my friend's restaurant and I was sick. And one night I was having dinner there and there was a gentleman that was high and drunk, and he had the keys to the house where I was staying. He followed me home. I was already in bed. This was around midnight, and he had opened the door, walked up the stairs. I was on the 3rd floor, and I knew based on the way that the footsteps were, there was one person, not two. And I know that the couple, my friend and her husband, were still at the restaurant because they were closing their restaurant. I knew it wasn't them. The steps were too deliberate, not somebody who's drunk, like sloppy. They were just very calculated. In this situation, I knew I was in trouble. So I applied all of these strategies, staying calm and assessing the situation, and know that I was about to get attacked. Number 2, thinking of ways to be very kind and caring, because I knew that person was going to come in. I didn't have enough time to lock the door or move furniture in front of the door, and I didn't want to aggravate aggressive behavior. That person did come in, did get underneath the blanket, and was caressing my body and touching me. And I was just very kind. I went along with it. I knew he was high and drunk. And in that moment, the only thing that came to my mind was I had to distract him and go with the plan, which was I used manipulation because I knew I could get to him with my brain, not physically. I could not fight him because typically the men are stronger, and if they're aggressive in that moment or high and drunk, they're gonna win unless you're using some sort of a weapon, and even then it's risky. In that moment, I was talking to him, touching him back and just like, hey, what's up? Hey, I want to have fun later. I'm gonna go downstairs and unlock the door because my girlfriend is coming and she's gonna drop off some alcohol and we're gonna have a good time. I reframed the situation in a way that it was believable, that he understood, and that I was going along with what he wanted to do, which was to have fun. He let me get out of the bed. I unlocked the door. I went downstairs and I ran out. All of these situations that I had described, it has helped me understand that these strategies do work and has helped me get out of dangerous situations. Now, they may not always work for everyone, and I think fundamentally, and they're not always going to work. Maybe I got lucky 4 or 5 times, but I think that going back to each of these situations, the first thing that did work was in my gut, it didn't feel right. Something didn't feel like. Don't question your gut. If your gut says this is not right, start preparing for the worst case scenario. Don't go against your gut because your gut is there to save you. I know some people say don't trust your gut because you're projecting or you have your own biases and all that. Yeah, but for women, we have a very strong intuition. So use it. Let me know what you found useful in this video, and if you were ever in dangerous situations, leave a comment below and let us know how you got out of it. I think it's super empowering for us women to have this information to better understand how to get out of these situations. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting more on tips and strategies. Make sure to also check out my playlist on communication if you're looking to improve your communication. So I have a playlist on that. And thanks again for watching today. It hasn't been easy for me to share this. I wanted to share it because it's been coming up. A lot of my girlfriends are in these dangerous situations and they don't know what to do, whether they're dating or at work, and even in their home, especially when you're a child and you're not understanding fully what's going on. In the next video, I'm going to cover something more positive, how to use positivity to change the outcome of your circumstances. It's going to be about reinforcing positivity to influence or change behavior. And this is a very important topic because positivity really goes a long way. I feel like we don't have enough techniques how to better use positivity. Somebody can spend all day long telling you be more positive, but what does that even mean? Like, what does that actually mean? I'll actually talk about that in the next video, so stay tuned, and remember, you're wonderful. Do the best that you can every day.